Okay guys, so what we're going to look at now is the vertex of a parabola. And you might remember that that refers to either the lowest point of a parabola, this is the vertex, or the highest point of a parabola, this is also called the vertex. Okay, now in the past you've looked at two different ways of finding the vertex. The first way was to find the x-intercepts, so ways to find. Okay, in the past we looked for the x-intercepts and the vertex was in between. Okay, so you find the x vertex and then, so the vertex is going to be the x and then the function of x. Okay, now the second way that we did this, so this was method 1. Method 2 was to put the formula in vertex form. Okay, and that was the function of x is equal to a x minus p squared plus q, where the vertex is equal to, oh, I shouldn't make it equals, is p comma q. Okay, and this was vertex here. Alright, now these were the two ways you've done it so far. Now today we're going to make it even easier for you and we're going to give you a formula. But first I want to go through how to get the formula. I want you guys to see where this comes from, because for some of you this is important. Remember, we always try to also help you to see where things come from, not just always handing you something and say, hey guys, this is it. Okay, it's important for maths that you start to think about things in the future and how we're going to do things, and this is one of the methods we use. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to put the general formula into vertex form. Okay, and that will tell us the vertex. We know this. Okay, so we want it to look like this. Okay, and then we will know our vertex will be p comma q. All right, now our general formula, so the general formula for a quadratic equation is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, and you will remember that to put a formula into vertex form, we need to complete the square. Okay, and yeah, that's what we're going to do here. So if we start with our formula, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, you'll notice that we have an a in front of x squared. And remember, that makes completing the square a little more complicated, because it means that the first thing we need to do is we need to factorize that a out. So we're going to get y equals a. And then remember, we use the big square brackets here. I want to make them look a bit nicer than that. So we're getting x squared plus. Now our b is now going to be b divided by a. So b over a x. Okay, and remember, we only took the a out of the first two terms. We don't factorize it out of the c because c is just a constant. Okay, now at this point, we always then said, when completing the square, that we need b over 2. Now in this case, b is already divided by a, and then that's got to be divided by 2. All right, what this means is that we have to simplify this fraction. Now, most people find this a little bit difficult, okay, but you have to just think back to your old fraction rules. If we have a fraction divided by a fraction, so for example, if I have a half divided by a third, okay, the rule was that we keep the first fraction as it is, flip the second fraction, so this becomes 3 over 1, and change it to times. All right, we can do the same thing here because remember 2 is the same as 2 over 1. All right, so we're going to keep the first fraction as it is, change the second fraction to 1 over 2, we flipped it, and then change it to multiply. Okay, so we get b over 2a. All right, so what we're going to do with that is we're going to say that we have, let's go down another line, a square bracket x squared plus b over ax plus b over 2a squared minus b over 2a squared, close our big brackets, plus c. Okay, so that's quite straightforward. All right, now this part of the equation here turns into our square. All right, so we're getting a big bracket x plus b over 2a squared minus b over 2a squared, close brackets, plus c. Now we can simplify. It's supposed to be a bracket here. Okay, now we can simplify this. All right, so we get a, and we're no longer going to have the square, we're not going to have the square bracket anymore, because what we're doing at this point is we are multiplying a by both terms in the bracket to expand it. Okay, so we're going to get a x plus b over 2a squared minus a b over 2a squared plus c, all right, which is equal to a x plus b over 2a squared minus ab squared over 4a squared plus c. All right, and just to tidy it up, even though it doesn't matter at this point, a x plus b over 2a squared minus one of those a's can cancel out, so b squared over 4a plus c. Okay, and this is what we get for our equation in vertex form. Okay, and you'll remember that vertex form is y equals a x minus p squared plus q. Okay, where p is the x coordinate of the vertex, and we notate that as x vertex. All right, just like this. All right, q would be the y of the vertex. Okay, and we don't really worry too much about the q in this case. All right, so if you compare this to our formula above, the p term is here. Okay, p gives us that the x vertex for a parabola is equal to negative b over 2a. All right, and that is what I want you to get out of this lesson. Okay, that the x vertex is negative b over 2a. All right, you can now use this formula to find the vertex of any parabola. So for example, if I have x squared plus 7x minus 12, and that's our function. All right, if I want to know the vertex, we can say x vertex is equal to negative b over 2a. You'll remember that we have a, b, C. Okay, so it's equal to -7 over 2 times A. Remember A is actually 1 here. So over 2, which is equal to -3.5. And that is our x vertex. For the y, we then do the function of -3.5. And this will give us our y value. Okay, so we're going to get -3.5 squared plus 7 times -3.5 minus 12. And this is going to give us, let me open up my calculator. Okay, so we have -3.5 squared plus 7 times -3.5 minus 12, which gives us -48 point, I think it was 75, yep, or -48 3/4. Okay, so that's our function of -3.5, so our vertex is equal to -3.5, comma, -48 3/4. And that's our vertex. Okay, so this is it for vertex form. This is it for finding the vertex. This is now a much easier method for you guys to find the vertex of any parabola. That means these methods back up here, you don't need to worry about anymore. Okay, sometimes it's quite easy to look for the x-intercepts and find the vertex, but quite frankly, now that you know the formula, you can use it. So, enjoy!